Hey, Rowan, super happy to have you here on the Student Built Startups podcast. I'm excited to talk with you. I'll have you start off with saying hello to everyone listening and sharing one crazy but true fact about yourself.
Yes. So first of all, yeah, thanks for inviting me on this podcast. I freaking love it, man. Because for me, I'm really passionate about working together with young people. Because I'm 25, I'm also still a young dog, and I feel like we always need to support each other and tell our stories. So first of all, again, thank you for inviting me. Um, One strange but true fact. I think when I was at high school, I was like really like the smallest kid at school, man. Everyone was always saying like, "Who is that midget?" But it was just me. I was, and the strange part is because a bit um, progressing to later, but I was in the military for 6 years working as a leader. But back then, I was like the shyest kid at school. I never dared to speak in front of public. I was shutting down. So it's a huge shift.
Yeah, for sure. That's a pretty cool story there. I think that's awesome that you were in the Army or military for 6 years. That's really cool, and thank you for your service.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. So I'll have you start off here with sharing a little bit about your educational story. I know you shared a little bit about being the smallest kid and then kind of taking a shift there, but a little bit about that and then about your two businesses that you're running right now.
Yeah. So yeah, first of all, yeah, on addition to being the smallest kid, back then in high school, yeah, I literally was the smallest kid. Everyone was double my height, so I was an easy target for bullies. And the reason why I want to address this story is not because I want to feel bad about myself, but we all have difficult situations in our past and sometimes right now, but that doesn't determine the person who we are becoming. And even though I was the smallest kid at school, now I'm just average height or even bigger than most guys. But the funny part of it is, yeah, for me, or funny, I had a difficult time, was bullied a lot because it was an easy target. Back then, I was always that kid who was going left when everyone wanted to go right. So I didn't like to follow the crowds. So being the smallest kid and never following the crowds makes you an even bigger target for bullies and people who don't like it. But during that time, even it was a hard time, I always was happy with myself. And that was something strange. It was always something like, you know what? I was proud of being the smallest kid at school. Even though I was bullied, never disliked it. And I feel right now in this world, too many people were feeling awful because they're different than other people. And I just want to say it right now, especially when this is a podcast for young people. Always believe in your own gifts, and being small or being different is a gift to make a change in your environment and in your world, because you're not just like someone else. We don't want copycats. We want authentic people. So after high school, I really didn't know what I wanted with my future. It was always like, yeah, didn't want to follow the crowd, but I really didn't know what I wanted in life. But when I grew up, got to a good height, then still wasn't uncertain. But my father was on the reserves of the army. So he was not like full time in the army, but only sometimes in the weekend or when it was needed. But that inspired me, like, you know what? I really don't know what I want to do, but in the army it sounds like cool, and I wanted to participate in something good in this world. So defending my country back then sounded the best solution possible. So I decided to join the army, and my school grades, yeah, made me possible that I could become a leader in the army straight away. Of course, I need to do some training over there, but you know what? I was thinking like it's the most what I could get out of it. So let's do it. And I joined military training for 2 years, and the first year was really a strange time because I was always that kid when I needed to speak in public. I was choking. I never knew I couldn't get one word out of my mouth. And I was afraid when I was standing in the middle. I felt like shit, like everyone is, all those thoughts like, yeah, I'm not worthy, all that limiting beliefs, or really difficult. But in that time I had to, because I needed to become a leader of a group, leading people in difficult situations, in hard, in stress situations, in life changing situations. So when you need to do something because it's a bigger cause than just for yourself, somehow something magically happens in your body, in your mind, because then you're not really thinking about why you feel shit, but you're thinking about what would happen if you're not doing this, how many people would be affected if you're not doing this. And then something happened. I became better and better at public speaking, speaking in front of groups. I even learned how to become an instructor, and eventually finished my training and became a real leader, a sergeant in the army. First, I was leading up to 6 people. Then it grew into to bigger teams, and even went to Afghanistan for 4.5 months. Then I was like the only responsible for the logistics of the whole Dutch camp. Yeah, and my confidence in being in front of people grew and grew. At some point that I always thought like, when I needed to spread something in public, I always thought like, next time I want to have at least one person more. So there was always a drive into exploring myself, evolving myself, learning new things. Just to finish off like the military life. And at the end, I also was like chief instructor of arms. So I was teaching people how to shoot, to become a better shooter at all different kind of weapons. And I really loved the work. But on the side, I was a mechanic, or like I was a leader of mechanics.
Okay.
And for me, I loved it, but still I felt like into a box, because in the army it's a bureaucratic environment. It's necessary. But for me, I was really creative as well. Some guys maybe check me later on Instagram or Facebook. I'm really into branding, creative pictures, and that I could never could do something with that. I always felt like, I'm not 100% living in my own potential, but still I was not certain that I wanted to become an entrepreneur. So joined a corporate job because my parents and all my environment told me like, this is the best thing to do. I don't have anything against it. So I'm not that entrepreneur who's telling people like, you need to not go to 9 to 5 or something else. You just need to follow your heart. But the most important thing what I discovered was, I was leading teams up to 65 people, like an international team. And it was nice, but still the same situation. I felt like something was missing. So I discovered social media marketing. And in that time, I was growing on social media as a social media influencer. Just to make it a bit more of clarity in the story, when I was in the army, I was really into fitness, but I was never daring to express myself. Just the same situation when I was young. I saw too many jacked up guys, women always slim, lean, and I wasn't really like that buffed guy. I was just like an average guy who loved to work out. So I was one moment that I felt like, you know what? I just want to inspire one person, and I'm just going to put it out. And for me, at that moment, when I did the first time, I said to all my followers, like, you know what? I'm just going to put all fitness content on my social media channel and share my progression with you guys. And when that happened, I felt like there was something more, getting more aligned, because now you're putting yourself outside of the comfort zone, but you're doing something what you always wanted to do, but was too afraid because of opinion from other people. So after that, it grew into a business, because when I get into the social media space, I learned more about social media marketing, and still growing influencer account and a company, which is called ROI Digital. So that was my first company, and I was working on it and in it alongside my corporate job. So I was working full time, 40 hours a week, then 20 hours a week into my business, and even going to a bachelor degree in business of science. Because I felt like I needed to level up, so I was working like 70 hours a week, all different kind of stuff. But then in the corporate job, I was a real leader. I was really for the people. I really didn't like if managers told me to fire a lot of people, but it was getting an issue. And then I got passionate about entrepreneurship, and I thought myself, you know what? Why not just go all in with my passion, do something I would really love to do, and go all in with it. And then that was really my moment of change in my life, that I felt like happiness every single day. And that was really crazy, because I wasn't making that much money. I was not like a millionaire or something like that. I was just making enough money to survive, but I felt so fulfilled because I could decide everything myself. But again, something was missing. So it was like the third time. And then I felt like, now I need to find some help from someone who is going to dive deep into myself. What's holding me back? What is that thing? And what I discovered, I was always a guy who was there for the people. As a leader, I always thought about other people first instead of myself. Because in the military, that's our mindset. We take care of the guys and girls, of course, of our team. So he was my coach was dissecting me, my skills, my knowledge, my passion, everything. And we created what we created right now. And it's a coaching business. What I call it's more like a high performance / mindset coaching. And we help people level up their tactical mindset. And how we are doing it, or I can explain it better like this. We help entrepreneurs, we give them a tactical life plan so they can achieve greatness on the way to make $1 million impact. And I say impact because I don't give too much about the money, but I feel like if people want to make a lot of money, then they need to impact people on a good way. Because I'm not going to help people make money for a Lamborghini or something like that. They need to do something good, help others, train others, coach others, whatever. Because my mission in life has become helping at least 1 million people to live their life to the fullest potential by creating leaders who are doing the same. So it's more like a pyramid scheme of positivity, of growth, which is the core driver of me right now, because it's not like that I'm making so much money that I don't have to work anymore, but it's more like I'm so passionate about it that I can speak about it hours long. So my explanation about this is a long one, but it's a bit where I'm going right now, man.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. You covered a lot of stuff that I really agree with. Way back in the beginning of what you were saying there, you were talking about how when you were in high school, you were comfortable with who you were, even though you were like the small guy and got picked on some, but you were still comfortable with yourself. And I think that's super important, just to like know who you are. And I think the best thing that you can be is to just be yourself and do your best to be comfortable with that. And then the other thing I really liked was when you said $1 million impact. And one of my favorite quotes is that it's not about how much money you make, it's about how you make your money. And I think that that's something I really resonate with. So
I love it, man.
Yeah. So well, yeah, I guess you covered that a little bit. You covered when you determined entrepreneurship was your path, but was there like a specific like moment when you like the flip switched and you're like, I'm going to dive deep into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a funny story, because I was working as a team leader logistics, and it was one day we usually was a national day off, but at that company we worked every single day the whole year. So on national days off, they are still working. So I, as a team leader, was working as well, but a lot of people took a day off, like from their holiday hours. But we didn't have enough people, so I was helping myself that day. But there was a small accident happening, so some material stuff got damaged, like 20K worth of dollars, quite much. So it was quite expensive, but it
Yeah.
was a multi-million-dollar company. So for them, it felt like a nail. But the thing was, I did everything to fix it ASAP. But my manager, who didn't even know how to speak my first name, next day he was pissed off. He was really blaming me for everything, about a lot of things which I never did. So that was like the snapping moment for myself. Like, I'm never going to tell shit about me for money. And because that is what it was actually was. And I was not hiding. I was telling like, yeah, if you're going to do it like this, I'm not afraid for it. Let's get
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
So that day they told me like, yeah, let's get it at Friday. You have a coffee talk with me, and if you don't have a good conversation, yeah, you can go. So I felt like, yeah, okay. If he doesn't even know my name, so the only thing what I'm going to do on that conversation is give an interview about me. So share a presentation about me. So I did it, and they was really like, okay, what the fuck is going on? Like, okay. And he told me already before I even did the presentation, like, yeah, we're not going to fire you. A lot of colleagues came to me that it was a mistake and sorry, this and that. But I told me, really, I don't care if you say like I'm not fired or not, because whatever, if you did it or not, I always want to let you guys know who I really am before you even let me go or stay. So that's why I still did the presentation, just to blow their minds and say like, yeah, this is me. And if you really want to know me, then you need to put some time in and not just tell me something to do while you don't even know me. So that was a snapping moment, man.
Yeah. I would probably have a similar reaction too. Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe that, like, it's crazy how like you could work in the same building in the same company as somebody, maybe like a manager, and they don't even like know who you are or even how to pronounce your name. It's kind of crazy. And uh I could just I could see how that
Yeah.
would flip the switch.
Yeah, man. And the funny part is we had like weekly meetings, and
Mhm.
everyone he know his first name, but only not me, because I was on another location, but he was my direct manager. But the thing was, um, in the period of time that I was working already there, when I just started, the company got a big fire. So it was a big chaos when I started working there. But I fixed it in 2-3 months, while even never had experience in logistics or working there at that level. But I fixed everything. It was working really well. So I never heard like, yeah, you're doing a good job, but only when something went wrong while I was helping other people because we didn't have enough people, then that happened. So for me, then, yeah, well, what I wanted to add on knowing yourself, when you said like, yeah, you always need to try to know yourself, even though on school, it's more about your values and beliefs. Because for me, something what always was quite good was my values and beliefs. And of course, they was not that well as it is right now. Now I'm
Mhm.
super confident in it, but there was always some parts of them which I never like let go, and that is really important for you as a person and your identity.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. So how did being in the army really impact your entrepreneurial ventures? Like um, in what ways did that kind of push you to gain the skills and like that kind of stuff that you need to really be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so for me, what changed it a lot was my mindset. I really didn't know it until I started my coaching business and dissecting myself. So I was really getting to know myself so well. A lot of things which I never even realized. And what I realized was like, I had a tactical mindset that was differentiating me from other entrepreneurs who were starting out. So what a lot of people always told me from the beginning, your mindset is not a level than most people do. And I never believed them until I got in touch with a lot of people. Because when I was an entrepreneur, I started and I woke up at 6 o'clock. I was always doing cold shower, all that kind of stuff immediately, because I was thinking every entrepreneur does it. I was thinking everyone who is a high performer does it. And then I realized, like, yeah, I might be one of the only ones who is as crazy to do it, because for me it was normal from my time in the military. So that mindset, that discipline, that made a big difference. And especially the focus on helping people and impacting people, because in the army, you're busy with something bigger than yourself. You're participating on a mission with a lot of nations to do something bigger than just yourself. And that mindset, when I was an entrepreneur at the beginning, the first couple of months, when I was still working at at the other company, I didn't have it. The focus was money. But when I was doing it full time, it was immediately searching for something bigger than myself to participate in and make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. You're the second veteran that I've had on the podcast, and both you guys have a similar mindset about being tactical with your entrepreneurial approach and just putting in like crazy like grind and getting up cold showers, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, man.
it's I think veterans have a very similar approach to entrepreneurship and just kind of life in general. So I think that's kind of cool. So we're gonna skip a couple questions here just so we can speed things up just a little bit. But we'll jump down to what's your number one priority in business or in both of your businesses?
My number one priority is to really create a sort of coaching platform, or like a education platform, something like that, to help people really dive deep into what is their potential and where they're heading to. My social media marketing agency, I've really cut it down to one client who I really love to work with, because I easily could have more. But my purpose and passion is in the coaching part, so I wanted to have like fully focus on that. So I'm going to use my social media marketing as a leverage for the coaching business, so I can market everything from there.
Yeah, there you go. That's cool. Always, I think it's cool to use skills that you've learned from past ventures and experiences to kind of leverage that for your future stuff. So that's a very good tip there for everyone listening.
Yeah, definitely. If it's possible, and of course for me it was like I didn't plan this before. I have a strategic mindset, but I really didn't plan this before. I knew someday I wanted to do something with coaching, but I never knew. It was just a feeling and the heat of the moment, and sometimes you have like that gut feeling, and then and you need to feel like all good together.
Yeah, yeah. So you've talked a little bit about your experience with leadership and being an influencer. So we can talk a little bit about some tips regarding that and some value bombs that we can drop on the listeners here. So,
Cool, man.
do you think that leadership is something that can be learned, or do you think it's something that is more or less inherited or genetic related?
Definitely learn, man.
Okay. Yeah.
And because I was definitely not a natural born leader, but I want to say it like this: people always think of a leader as that you need to lead people, but leadership is leading yourself first. If you're a leader, everyone can be standing in front of a group of people, but I know for sure a lot of people are not a leader. They don't even know what they're doing. They're just firing the heat of the moment. They feel like this is what I need to do. But leadership is, if you know the foundation of yourself is right, you have take the lead about yourself, take that ownership. What Jocko Willink is saying a lot. Um, if you can do that and then elevate it and help people elevate their lives, their potentials, make it a good group, and that is what leadership is all about. It's experiencing and learning about it. Some people have it way naturally, but it's definitely something it's learnable.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you on that. And I really liked your quote from the beginning. I'm definitely going to use that for the promotion of this episode. So I like
That's
that
cool.
one there. Yeah. So do you think there's different styles of leadership? And if so, which one is the best style of leadership in your eyes?
Um, yeah, there are so many leadership styles, but to be honest, right now, and this is something it's evolving the last couple of years, but it's more like adaptive leadership. I'm not sure if I'm using it. I think it has another word in English, but what it is basically what it's saying. Every person is different, so you need to lead a person differently than someone else. And when someone is easier, emotional, way more emotional, and someone has almost no emotions, then there's definitely a different way of approaching someone and trying to figure out what's going on. So leadership, the best way is dependent on the situation, dependent on the people, and that's really adaptive. And that is the most difficult style, but definitely the most beautiful style, because then you are really diving deep into the people and giving them the feeling like you're there for them.
Yeah, yeah. And I think if you're going to use that adaptive leadership style, like you're almost forced to like really get to know who you're working with and understand them like on a personal level, so you know how to approach each individual situation. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I agree with you that that's probably one of the best ways to lead people, is just depending on the situation and approaching it just however you feel is
Yeah,
best.
and this is not only like leadership, leading people, but as well with teaching. Yeah, nowadays, of course, what you see in the classes, there's a lot of differences within the students. Some grade A's, some are
Mhm.
like D's or F's or whatever, but it's all, or a lot of it's because of the way of teaching, the way of implementing all the lecture, and the leadership isn't really different with that way of thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you that it can be definitely kind of crossed over into the educational area.
Yeah, it will become better. At least I see here in the Netherlands, it's getting better and better, but it's definitely something which is progressing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So what would you say are the three most important aspects of being a great leader?
Um, yeah, first of all, it's definitely responsibility, ownership. So the most common mistake what I've seen is that people blame others immediately. While when I have a team and it goes something wrong, I'm first responsible. So I I will take ownership, because then in the process there is going something wrong. Why that guy makes a mistake? Maybe in the hiring process, maybe in the teaching process, or maybe at least there is something going wrong. So yeah, I need to blame myself first. So first, responsibility. Secondly, I feel like you need to have a vision, or you always want to move forward. Because if you're standing still, there is no growth happening, then you will fall backward. And last one is, let me see, your responsibility and moving forward. And last one is definitely always take care of the people first, and then yourself last. And it's not like that you need to make sure that you're miserable, but if you're sure that you are doing well, then you're always certain, yeah, I know that I'm doing well. Let's take care of the people first, until I have that moment that I need to calm down, and then just let it go. But that's something as leader, you know, when you need to keep yourself like calm and when you need to involve.
Yep, yep. I really liked how you said responsibility was the first thing there, because I think that can like be the difference between a great leader and just an average leader, because I think it's very common as humans in general to not want to put blame on themselves when they probably do have at least some aspect of blame. And I think that when you start to take responsibility for that kind of stuff, you'll be able to grow more as a person, because you'll be able to identify your kind of areas that you can grow, and
Mm-hmm.
you'll become less of a kind of you'll become more positive in the eyes of who you're leading.
Definitely.
So
And yeah, one thing that I forgot, and it's a common mistake as well, is leaders don't need to think that they are better than the people. It's us. We need to do it together. And what I saw, and even in the military, I had a lot of colleague students which had the same training, but when they get those stripes and called sergeant, they immediately changed as a person, and they are going to tell people exactly what to do. But that's straight the stupidest thing which you could do, because those guys most of them have way more experience than we do. So we
Mm-hmm.
always need to find a solution for us. And of course, you need to be the guy or girl who needs to take the decision. But as a leader, you always need to think as a team, as us, because without them, you're nothing. And without you, they can do something, but you need to make sure that will be something really good.
Yeah, I like that. Think as an us rather than just an I. That's another good quote there. So let's talk a little bit about your social media experience. So what did you do or what steps did you take to build your social media following?
Yeah, so first of all, I started like growing my account in the time that I knew I'm going to quit the army. And back then I was a lot on the base, so I didn't have too much things to do. So I was a lot on my phone, growing my Instagram, commenting, people engaging. So engagement is one of the most important things that grew my account quite fast. Following other people, contacting them, like really using the platform where it's used for. And of course, I had the time, so sometimes I was like 8 hours busy on Instagram. So it was like that crazy, but it was growing quite fast. So in 1 year, I was going from 1 to 10K Instagram followers. And after that, when I really, in between, or when I was joining the corporate job, I was also going to night school or evening school and building a business, so I didn't have that much time. So I was like stalling, maybe growing like 500 or 1,000 people, and now slow but steady grew
Yep.
it hit 13K and now a bit less because I'm not really focused on just growing it. I just want to put content when I can. But back then I was like posting every single day and then engaging a lot.
Yeah. I mean, from everyone that I've talked to that's grown a social media following really fast, they all say they put in like hours every day just engaging, posting, and like putting in a lot more time than you would think. Like the amount of time that a lot of teenagers spend looking through social media, the amount of time that they spend just engaging and posting. So I think that's kind of the way you got to go about it if you're looking for rapid growth. So
and when you want to do something, make a business out of it, or like a hobby or some side hustle, something like that, you need to see it like you are the producer and not a consumer anymore. And even though when you're engaging, it's with an intention. So you're going to find the people when you know, okay, I want to grow my account. This is time I need to spend to grow it, to get people see my content. Because if you're consuming, it consumes a lot of time because you're not focused on getting something out of it. You're just using the platform and in the addictive way, and that is in a negative way. So I always try to be I like the producer who is changing the things.
yeah, I like that perspective. Thinking of it as your producer. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what is one like common mistake that you see social media influencers or people that are just trying to grow their social media following make?
First of all, fake it till you make it. That is not the way to go, because you can buy followers and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I never did it because I really, that's one of the values I really don't have. I really don't like, because you're giving away your soul for nothing. And giving away your soul is definitely something you never need to do, even for a lot of money. But from the other side, it's all fake. So would you rather live a fake life and unfulfilled, or like a real life and getting real life impacting people? You can better impact like 1 or 2 people a year than 1,000 and never impacting no one.
Yeah. Like I don't know how, like, so when somebody, if they go buy fake followers, like they know, they have to know inside that like it's fakes, and they can't feel fulfilled from that. Like they might feel fulfilled that they're maybe making money, but that's not going to be leading them to true fulfillment or happiness. It's all
short-term gratification, because
yeah.
at the moment they buy followers, they see, whoa, I got status, I got 10K followers or 20 or more, but 1 week later, the guys are not engaging. They still get 10 likes, and then they're going to buy likes, and then they are spending a lot of money just to get a fake image.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So what is one piece of advice you would give to someone who is trying to grow their social media following?
First of all, always try to be your authentic self, because there are a lot of copycats out of here, and people don't want to follow copycats. And of course, we don't have to reinvent the wheel twice, but definitely we can learn from it and then create something in our own way. So first of all, try to find someone who is doing the same thing you really would love to do, like really love to do, and not because you think you get status, but really, really love to do. After that, you're going to see, okay, what is he doing? Why is it doing really well? And try to copy it. First, copy it because you want to try his system. And of course, you're not going to get the same results immediately. But from copying and trying, you're going to create your own style. So don't try to be a copycat, but really make it your own way.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of think of creativity as it's a blend of other things. It's hard to have creativity as be your sole own thing, because we all take in experiences from everything else outside of us. So
definitely.
It's not necessarily always going to be a copycat, but if you kind of, like you said, take in someone else's ideas and apply your own experiences to that and make something similar but your own. So all right, so we're going to move on to the Fast Five section. I'll ask you 5 questions and we'll just go through them pretty quick. So first question here is, what is the most valuable learning experience you have had?
Falling a lot of times. Like a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. What is one book that you would recommend?
The book which changed my life and really changed my view and getting a purpose is Start With Why from Simon Sinek.
All right. Yeah, cool. That's the second time that one's been recommended on the podcast. I've heard some great things about that. So what is one business tool that you would recommend?
Depends on where your audience is hiding. But for me, if you want to be a creative, use Instagram. If you want to be a social media marketing agency or something in social media and marketing, you can choose, for example, Instagram and Facebook or LinkedIn. But the difference is Instagram is made for creating and sharing pictures and more like the polished style. Facebook is more the authentic and personal stuff, and LinkedIn is more the business style. And you need to figure out for yourself, okay, what I'm creating, which suits best for me. And for creative, so photographers, artists, tattoo artists, whatever, all creative people do best on Instagram because it's a platform consuming creative content. So I would definitely say Instagram if you're creative, and Facebook if you are more like into personal stuff.
All right, cool. And one thing I'd also like to mention is that Calendly app that you used. That's the first time I've ever seen it, and I literally just used it to schedule somebody else from a different time zone because I messed up the time zone conversion. And I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm setting this up, and
it's working
I like
really
it a lot
well.
So far.
Man, I use it a lot, of course. I'm from the Netherlands. I've chosen to go international, not because I want to, of course I want to do big things and reach a lot of people. But for me, I really like, especially the American mindset. I really like it. I feel a lot of attracted to a lot of different cultures. And what I'm seeing, a lot of time difference, 6 hours, 7 hours, sometimes 8. Australia has a lot of differences. So with this tool, it's super easy. I just say to them, hey, just schedule a time. And then it's as easy as that, because then you never have to try to calculate like, is it all right? And it will automatically schedule the time in your calendar. So you will get like a pop-up, or you see, hey, I have a meeting right now.
Yeah, it's a super, super slick app. So
thank
you for introducing me to that.
You're welcome, man.
So we got 2 more questions here. So how do you, I guess this kind of covers the next one, but how do you schedule your time and plan ahead?
So how do I schedule my time and plan ahead? What I always do, and I'm really I was a chaotic person. I just want to address it first. Back in the days, I was really like a chaotic person. If it's not as clean as this, I'm getting really anxiety inside of me. Like I'm not feeling well. But what I'm doing is I'm setting monthly, quarterly, and yearly goals. I dissect them into weekly and daily goals. So I know, for example, for this week, I have 3 main goals. And every single day, I set 3 goals. They need to be aligned with those 3 goals of that week. So I know exactly, okay, those are the 3 most important tasks today. So that's the daily and weekly planning. But what I really do is I set time blocks. So I use time blocking method. So for example, I have in the morning always deep work. So I'm focused work in the morning. So I cannot be disturbed. I never have calls in the morning, even only if it's like really, really important. But most of the times, always from 8 till 12 o'clock, I have like the deep work blocks where I need to focus. After that, I set blocks for calls, personal branding calls, whatever, things like this. So I know, okay, when do you have time? I know, okay, for example, on Mondays and on Tuesdays, I will do it, something like that. And that is for different teams of the day. So I set also a team for that day. So for example, my social media marketing work, most of it will be done on Friday. And sometimes when something gets in between, 9 out of 10 times I set it always on Friday. So I know, okay, I'm not going to disturb with new things because we always get something new, distractions. No, I put like into buckets and every bucket has its own theme. So when I have something new, don't use the distraction, just put it in the bucket and check it when you need to check it.
All right, cool. I really like your goal setting, goal planning kind of technique. That's a very similar thing that I used. I've done personal training at a gym here. Well, not recently, but like the past 6 months or so, and I've used a very similar kind of goal planning technique with clients, and
Nice.
it's a pretty effective way to go about it too. So.
Yeah, you have so much clarity on what you need to do on a daily basis. And you can see, okay, what is a task and what is a habit that I need to create.
Yep. So what is the number one thing that drives your motivation?
For me, making an impact on people and especially influencing and on the right way.
All right. Awesome. Well, Rowan, you gave some awesome information about leadership and influence, and I loved your story that you shared. It's super awesome and super happy to have you on the podcast. So, yeah, I hope you have a great day, and I hope everyone listening now is going to enjoy this. So,
yeah. First of all, again, thank you for having here. It was a blast. I really enjoyed it, and as I said before the call, you was the first podcast really did like a really structured podcast interview, really well prepared. So I really want to appreciate you for that. I love it, man.
Thanks. I appreciate that.